Josh Hamilton, Major League ball player. It sounds both completely natural and utterly unbelievable.
No wonder they were raving about that kid.
Right now, there's nobody in the big leagues like him.
There's really nothing on a baseball diamond he can't do.
One of the great stories.
That kid just continued to amaze me.
One of the memories will be this kid on this field.
To the folks back home in Raleigh who saw me play for the first time when I was 6, this was predestined. Josh Hamilton, Major League ball player. There was never any question in the minds of the scouts who watched me at Athens Drive High School, or in the minds of my minor league teammates with the Princeton Devil Rays or the Charleston River Dogs.
The demons overtook him.
But ask the people who populated my other life.
4 years out of baseball, battling drug addiction.
Josh Hamilton, Major League ball player, there must be some mistake.
MLB Network presents Josh Hamilton, Resurrecting the Dream. It was late 2008, and Josh Hamilton was back home in North Carolina.
How are ya?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Give me some, baby.
He was there to sign copies of his autobiography, which Josh co-wrote with Tim Keown.
I keep every ball that somebody...
Beyond Belief is the story of one man's improbable journey to baseball stardom.
See, hey, the little brother, they always do it harder. I don't know why. Give me some. Give me another one. Yeah!
There was a house beyond the center field fence at the high school out in the Pine Woods. After I had been hitting for a few minutes, a young dad walked down to the field with his 2 sons. They watched for a while, and when I was finished, he said to me, "I can always tell when you're hitting. It just sounds different inside my house when your bat hits the ball."
Woo! The ball comes off his bat with a different sound, and it's just an amazing show to see.
Sounds like a shotgun. You know, it sounds like somebody's shooting at a deer or something.
I've played with some guys that had some pop, and when they hit the ball, I mean, it sounds a little bit different, but when that guy hits the ball, I've never heard anything like it.
We actually saw it first in spring training. We saw just monumental home runs in batting practice.
Something you had to kind of take a double take on at times to really believe what you were seeing.
I mean, I love when guys come out at the big league level and watch me take bat in practice.
Man, you going first? No, go ahead. I want to let you.
Josh's booming bat first became legendary on the fields of Raleigh, where at the age of 6, it became obvious that he was a baseball prodigy.
I was playing Little League, and he threw so hard that the parents were getting worried that they were going to, you know, he was going to hurt one of their kids.
He was 6, 7-year-old at the time, and he was throwing the ball too hard for the other kids to catch and hitting the ball too hard. And everybody was complaining about him maybe hurting somebody in that league, and wanted to move him up, of course, and at the time, no one had ever done that.
Daddy got a guy from the Tar Heel League to come up and actually watch Josh, and they ended up making the decision that they were going to pull him up and play with the 9 through 12-year-old.
First time I ever saw Josh Hamilton, he was playing on my son's basketball team, and he was just so much stronger and faster than the rest of the kids, and he immediately caught my eye. The fathers, the parents that had seen Josh before said, well, you know, if you think he's a good basketball player, what do you see him play baseball?
It was amazing, the difference between him and other kids.
At that point in time, everybody in Raleigh knew that Josh was special.
For this boy wonder, baseball was his life. And no one supported him more than his parents, who never missed a game.
You know, they come home from work and, you know, they go in, change clothes, and then we're off to practice.
Growing up, I didn't ever really have a chance to play baseball a lot, so I made a promise that if my kids ever wanted to play sports, that's what they would do.
And as big brothers are wont to do, Jason took Josh under his wing.
There's no questions. If I was there playing ball, he was there with me.
He was hard on me, but he always let me tag along, always let me participate, and that's what made me so much better, because he never told me I couldn't do something. He always encouraged me and always told me I could.
Josh would come with his older brother to our practices, and I'd get in there and let him hit some, you know, and he was about 13, 14 years old, and And I could tell then, you know, seeing that swing and the bat speed and his mechanic, that he was going to be something special.
As Josh got into high school, it was apparent that nobody's going to catch up to Josh. Josh kept just going higher and higher, and he looked like a man among boys even in high school.
When he was 14, the boys I had on my Legion team was 18, and he could compete with them.
Josh asked me one time, how could you ever be a Major League Baseball player if scouts didn't come watch you? I said, well, if you're good enough, they'll come and watch you. You ain't got to worry about being seen. They'll find you. You just, when you go play, do your best you can on the field, and everything else will take care of itself, and that's pretty much what he did.
Josh had the 5 tools, hit, run, hit for power, play defense, and throw. Josh was off the scale, and all the more experienced scouts told me, said, Josh is just off the scale in all these areas.
By his senior year of high school, Josh had already become a local legend, often being asked to stop and sign autographs in the halls of Athens Drive High. And then, that chapter came to an end.
I was so glad when he graduated. We couldn't get him out. And then when he pitched, we couldn't hit him. I'm glad to see him graduate.
People were talking about once-in-a-50-year talent. We were talking about Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle. It was just amazing how talented he was.
You know, growing up as a kid, my dream was to play professional baseball. And get drafted by the Devil Rays, everything was good. Baseball was good, life was good. You know, 18, 19 years old, got almost $4 million to play baseball. What could go wrong?
It was June 2nd, 1999. Just another day in Raleigh, North Carolina, except this was draft day. And friends, family, and media all gathered at the Hamilton homestead.
Must have been 30, 40 people there. We had a tent set up so that he could talk to them, be out in the sun, you know, drinks and pizza. And it was an exciting day for us.
When he got the call, I mean, we knew it was coming, but when it happened, it was just unreal.
Whoever expects a kid to be picked number 1? I mean, you really don't.
I got off to an inauspicious start. On the drive from Florida to West Virginia, we stopped at a gas station to fill the tank and get some food. I was starving, so I ordered a huge amount of gas station fried chicken, and I ate like there was a hole in me somewhere. Within a couple of hours, I was sick as a dog. That was my first lesson as a professional athlete. Gas station fried chicken is a bad idea.
Josh went from the high of being the first overall draft pick in the nation to life in the rookie Appalachian League. But he had a plan.
I wanted to, you know, play in the minors maybe 1 or 2 years and then play in the big leagues for about 15 years. And by the time I, you know, was out of the big leagues, I wouldn't have to wait to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. So that was my goal.
We had been to every ball game that he's ever played, you know, seen every out that he'd ever been involved with. And he asked us to go with him, and, you know, so we both, you know, quit our jobs and, you know, was there for more support. You know, just the same thing we'd always done.
They were always there. It was, you know, one of those things where I wanted everybody around me to know, you know, how much so they meant to me.
With this kind of support, Josh flourished his first 2 years in the minor leagues, hitting well over 300. In 2000, he was USA Today's Minor League Player of the Year and was asked to play in the All-Star Futures game, the youngest player on the USA squad. His future couldn't have been brighter.
14 months ago, Josh Hamilton was still in high school in North Carolina. Talk about special players.
18 years old. Man.
Tremendous talent.
It's a thrill for me. You know, I've worked hard, you know, all my life, and you know, have fun playing this game, and you know, it's just a dream come true.
Josh was certain that he would soon take his place in the Tampa Bay outfield, but he wasn't the only one. Carl Crawford was drafted by Tampa 1 round after Josh in '99, and together they shared their dreams.
You know, we were both good athletes. We wanted to go up through the ranks together. We wanted to play in the big leagues one day together. And we'd always joke around, you know, whatever was hitting the outfield, better go to the fence or it's going to be caught. You know, Carl, he's a character. We were in Wendy's one day. I was looking at his tattoos. I said, man, I want to get a tattoo. And he said, well, why don't you? And I said, my parents. He said, why are you worried about your parents? Shortly after that, anyway, I got my first tattoo. It said Hammer.
Come home with a tattoo on his arm, said Hammer, and he had a play with on his other arm, and his mama, of course, asked him, was they real? And he jerked one of them off. No, they ain't real. Of course, the other one was real.
Josh was doing so well in the minors, the Devil Rays invited him to their spring training camp in 2001. And although Josh impressed the many sets of eyes that watched him, he was told to report back to the minors for more seasoning. And that's when he was dealt an unexpected blow.
We was on the way back to his house in Florida. I told his mama to jump over there and drive. And she drove out to the stoplight, and she pulled out to turn, waiting for a car to come, and Josh, she said, "Did it? That dump truck's gonna hit us." He hit the house so hard the passenger door flew open and come back, and Josh was leaning back. Of course, he hit him in the back. Something in his back that wasn't quite right.
His back caused Josh to struggle in Orlando and miss time. Following the accident, his parents returned to North Carolina. For the first time, Josh was on his own.
The two things that were constant in my life at that time were my parents and baseball, and they were taken away kind of at the same time. You know, I was on my own for the first time in my life.
You know, just went all downhill from there.
Obviously, you guys see I have tattoos. Do I wish I didn't have tattoos? Absolutely. If I could do it over again, I wouldn't have a single tattoo. You know, but at the same time, that's part of my story now.
For me, the chair was an escape. I could sit there and escape from baseball, and the people who wondered why I wasn't playing, and the whispers that suggested I wasn't really injured and had lost my drive for the game. With my eyes closed and the ink taking shape under my skin, the world got smaller. There were no expectations, nobody telling me how great I was or how great I could be. If I had been peppered with baseball questions while I sat in the chair, I would have found somewhere else to hang out.
With his parents no longer there to lend their support, and with plenty of time to kill, 20-year-old Josh Hamilton began to deviate from his plan.
I was on my own for the first time in my life. You know, young, had plenty of money, and, you know, just started hanging out in those wrong places. It was, you know, tattoo parlor I was hanging out at. Looking back at it now, it was a way of an emotional outlet, you know, because of not having baseball there, not having my parents there to lean on. So I'd sit in the chair for sometimes 8, 9 hours a day. Some days I'd get 2 or 3 tattoos.
It didn't surprise me that he got a tattoo, but when he started getting more and more and more, that's when I figured something was going on with him.
The long hours he spent getting ink on his body soon took Josh deep into the night, where he succumbed to the presence of alcohol and drugs.
You know, my parents taught me when I was growing up, people, places, and things. You know, if I'm around people that are doing certain things, if I'm around them long enough, I'm not doing them at first, then I'll start doing them.
When the Devil Rays discovered that Josh was experimenting with drugs, they discreetly took steps to protect their $1 million investment and sent him to the Betty Ford Clinic to get help.
Oh, it was a shock. You know, as a parent, you always think about this stuff happening to everybody else, don't happen to you.
But Josh refused to acknowledge his problem and left the clinic on his own. He showed up in spring training in 2002, anxious for a fresh start.
I was hoping he'd go back to normal, but, you know, I think he probably would have if he could continue to play ball, but once he started back playing, he got hurt again and, you know, had so much time on his hands.
Josh was besieged by injuries and played just 8 games in the outfield all season. His experimentation had turned into an addiction, and by the spring of 2003, he was a very troubled young man.
Our plans when I was at Tampa Bay was to play Crawford in left field, Baldelli in center, and Hamilton in right. A couple weeks into camp, he started to show up a little late. We had some talks, and he missed a day, and then he didn't show up for a few days.
His obsession with drugs had overtaken his passion for baseball. Josh just couldn't stay clean.
I mean, I was fighting, I was trying to get back, I was, you know, trying to get my life straightened out. I was, you know, sober and clean, and then I'd have a relapse.
When I started hearing about the fact that Josh was taking drugs, I didn't believe it. And I was very disappointed and amazed to find out later that it really was happening with Josh.
After multiple failed drug tests and unsuccessful stints at rehab, Josh watched his future scroll by him on the television screen.
Breaking news to ESPN, Josh Hamilton suspended on violation of drug abuse policy of Major League Baseball. And, I didn't get a call or anything or, nothing. It was just kind of like, huh? Reality kind of really set in then at that moment. And all that did was fuel the fire to want to use more and, get messed up more. So it's pretty bad.
It was February 2004. 3 years past his goal of making the majors, and Josh no longer had baseball in his life. But he did have a young woman, one who suspected nothing was amiss.
I had no idea that he had started using drugs. We dated for about 4 months, and then I started realizing there was something else going on, and then it became apparent, and we broke up. And we stayed broken up for about 1.5 years, and then got back together after he got out of rehab.
I was like 5 months clean, I think, and we dated for about 4 or 5 months and got married in November. She got pregnant in December, and I relapsed in January. I relapsed for like a day, and I was clean for 5 more months.
He told me that that part of his life was over, and I definitely believed him. I thought it was as well.
I was hoping I was done at that time, but it didn't work out that way. We had our little girl, Sierra.
He was wonderful for the 3 days we were at the hospital, and I really thought that he had, taken a turn for the better. And when we got home from the hospital, he was going to go to Walgreens and get my prescriptions filled for me, and he wound up at a bar instead.
It got even worse. I got really wrapped up in addiction.
He went through about $100,000 in 6 weeks.
I get a sick feeling in my stomach when I think about the things I did, and it's just wild.
Like the night when Josh was desperate for a fix, but had no money to feed it. So he took Katie's wedding ring from their house and pawned it.
I was heartbroken, I was mad, angry, every emotion you can think of. And as soon as I saw him, I asked him, I said, did you give away my ring? And he said, well, somebody's holding it. I said, well, you need to give me their name and number because I'm going to get it back. And I tracked down the guy's name, I called him, I told him that I wanted to meet him, and he told me to bring $200, and we decided to meet, and I met him and got my ring back.
I can remember her coming home. She wanted to fall apart, and I told her, I said, Katie, you've got to fight. You've got to stay up and fight for your marriage and for your husband.
There were times when I was so frustrated with him because he was hurting my child.
A recovering drug addict himself, Big Daddy was forced to intervene in an effort to keep Josh's drug dealer away from his daughter.
And there I was with my long black trench coat on, carrying a sawed-off shotgun in one hand and a .45 in the other, and knowing that at any minute, literally all hell could break loose. I said, I've got your money, and I've got a promise for you. If I ever hear from you again, you won't like me. Don't ever call my son-in-law again.
Everyone seemed to want to help Josh, but Josh himself.
We definitely had our rough days, There'd be times, I'd be with my wife at home and just, cry like a baby because I couldn't get across to my brother. He's killing himself and killing us.
I very nearly overdosed and found myself in the ER. My mom came into the room and stood next to the bed. She sat there for quite some time in a thick silence. With her head shaking and her voice breaking, she said, God must love ball players. If God didn't love ball players, you'd have been dead a long time ago.
By 2005, the former #1 pick had hit rock bottom. He was no longer welcome in the game he loved and was hurting everyone who cared about him. His parents even refused to let him return to the house in which he was raised.
You try to help him best you can and do the things that professional people tell you to do. Sometimes you have to call tough love, you had to do that, and I did my share of that.
It was roughest for Mom and Daddy. They had protected him his whole life. Them not being able to reach him, that was rough on them.
My grandmother on my mother's side lived right next door to us. This was the place Bruh and I went to be spoiled with cookies and ice cream and grilled cheese sandwiches. Mary Holt is an old-fashioned Southern lady. I think she had a soft spot for me because I was the youngest and I shared her name, Joshua Holt Hamilton.
And so, holding fast to the memory of her unconditional love, Josh turned to his grandmother, Mary Holt.
I had nowhere else to go. Katie and I were separated. I was out of money, and I showed up at her house at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Our whole life, we grew up next door. When something was going wrong, we ran to Grandma. If anybody could get through to him, it was going to be her.
Over the next couple of weeks, I was staying there. I used it a couple times, and she told me one night, she confronted me. She said, "You're killing yourself. You're such a better person than this." All those things. I was actually high when she was talking to me. And when you are, you don't, comprehend anything or what's going on around you. And God cleared my head.
God used his grandmother to turn his heart.
I threw my Bible on the bed. The first thing I read was James 4:7, "Humble yourself before God, resist the devil, and he'll flee from you." And, it just let me know that, the man upstairs was standing by the whole time and, protecting me because, there's no reason I should be here today, no reason I should be alive or shouldn't have killed somebody else or shouldn't be in jail. So obviously he's got a bigger plan and purpose for my life.
I went to my pastor and his wife and told them, I'm tired of being angry at him. What do? I feel like he needs to be punished for what he's done to us. And my pastor told me that I needed to forgive him. If you forgive him, you're going to be completely freed of all of those feelings of bitterness and anger and resentment. And it just made so much sense to me.
Reconciling his marriage and love for Katie was another step along the way to complete recovery. But Josh was still suspended from professional baseball, and that's when Providence opened a door.
An article appeared in the St. Pete Times, and in a paragraph it had, "I'm up here in North Carolina, I need somebody to talk to. I want to be back on the field, and all I'm doing up here is withering away." Well, I felt like that paragraph was speaking directly to me.
So Roy Silver, who along with Randy Holland runs the Winning Inning Academy in Clearwater, Florida, welcomed Josh to their facility. But baseball would have to wait.
When I talked to Roy Silver at the Winning Inning, he told me what his plans for Josh were. And they said that he was going to have to work really hard, clean the bathrooms, mow the lawn, and it was going to teach him responsibility, but also let him be around baseball.
We just wanted him to get out of his box in North Carolina and get away from the same thought patterns. We wanted to break the cycle that he was in. I didn't let him just get on the field the first day. He needed to show me that he was going to do his part before we did our part. And it wasn't until 3 weeks later I felt he deserved to go on the field. He and I went one-on-one. You could just tell he is just happy as can be.
Kind of pick me up and make me realize, what I used to be like, always smiling, having fun, and where I was and where I want to be again.
The first pitch I threw him, I looked up and that thing cleared the eye drop back there, which is 400 feet from home plate, and it cleared it by a good amount. And I said, "What is this guy doing here?" I mumbled that under my breath. I go, "I can't believe this guy's here."
The biggest chill I've ever felt ran through my entire body. Katie knew immediately from the look on my face. I started crying, and I cried and laughed and tried to make sense of it all. One more chance, one more last chance. I was back in the game.
Josh continued to train and maintain a positive outlook. More importantly, he stayed clean.
Whew.
He petitioned Major League Baseball for the chance to return. And before long, he got a call from Tampa Bay GM Andrew Friedman.
He said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Is it that bad?" He said, "It's that good."
I could tell by the emotion on Josh's face, he started getting tears in his eyes, and I knew what was said on the phone without him even having to tell me.
They told me, we want you to come down and work out, extended spring training, and they're going to give you some leeway to practice here, and if you do well, then they're going to reinstate you at some point.
This was a young man who had had a lot of troubles, engaged in a lot of behavior that he shouldn't have, but wanted to right his own ship, and I was sensitive to that.
Josh had been given a second chance, but he'd still have to be tested several times a week, and each test was a challenge.
The drug test guy's always in my dream now. He's always there, so it's like I got a choice. Either I can go here and use, or I can go take that test. And right now, I'm choosing taking those tests because I don't want to mess this up.
For the first time in 4 years, Josh got to play pro ball. 15 games for Tampa Bay's Class A team. Then in December of 2006, his life took another turn.
I was actually in my bucket truck cutting trees, and I was throwing limbs down to him, and he got a call.
Josh had been selected by the Chicago Cubs in the Rule 5 draft and was immediately traded to the Cincinnati Reds.
My brother was manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and his statement to me on the phone was, guess who we just got? And I said, who? And he said, in the Rule 5 draft, we got Josh Hamilton. And I said, you're kidding.
The door was open and Josh burst through. He hit .403 in spring training, and on opening day of 2007, he got to hear those words he had always dreamed of.
Number 33, outfielder, Josh Hamilton.
What a special moment for this young man who's battled so much to make it all the way to the major leagues.
From what I went through and where God brought me to where I was at that moment, that's what the emotions were about.
It was completely surreal. I just remember crying and laughing and being so excited and just looking around at everybody. There was 50,000 people there, clapping for him and welcoming him into Major League Baseball.
They're giving Josh Hamilton a prolonged standing ovation as he comes up to pinch hit. Debut that he'll never forget. A special moment, Chris, and nope, wasn't a hit, but there's a lot of love in that clubhouse.
I looked over at Mama and she was crying. I couldn't help but get choked up.
He's up there bawling. He probably didn't tell you he was crying, but he was crying, bawling.
And I said that, to be quite honest with you, I didn't ever think I'd see this day, and I didn't. I thought it was pretty much over with. I always knew if he had the opportunity to play in the major leagues, I thought he would do well.
But Josh was about to exceed all expectations.
This ball is crushed deep to right field. First hit in the big leagues, and it is a bomb.
And another minor milestone, but I'm sure it feels major to Josh Hamilton.
After 4 years lost from his young life, Josh, the 25-year-old rookie who once had all the promise in the world, was finally in the major leagues and was seeking to fulfill that promise.
Oh, a strong throw by Josh Hamilton.
I was on the field with Griffey and all those guys, and I could still get it done.
And there to help Josh forge his future in the game was someone from his past.
Reds hiring Johnny to travel with them was absolutely amazing. I'm so very thankful for Johnny.
I was in a position to help him at that point in baseball and as a mentor. To me, it's a God thing. It's God's plan.
Being in the big leagues is a different life, but to have somebody from, your home area to be there to help you, to guide you as your mentor, is a great thing.
It's just that extra layer of comfort and peace of mind that there's somebody in Josh's corner watching out for him.
Josh hit 19 home runs that year and drove in 47 runs in just 90 games. But the Reds changed managers midway through the season, and Josh soon learned that his lifeline would not be coming back.
When I found out that, Katie was like, "What? That's okay. I got peace about it. Guys, give me peace about it." And 4 days later, we know why she had peace about it, because the Rangers called me and said, we got you in a trade. What do you think about Johnny coming over with you? Well, there it is right there. So, God always knows. We're just along for the ride.
I would not have had the year I had this year if it wasn't for my teammates. You're a family out there. Got to help each other out. You can be the leaders on your team. If you're not a vocal leader, you can be a leader by how you play the game.
It always made me feel good to open up a letter from someone who drew inspiration for my recovery. But after 2 weeks with the Rangers, there were 2 lonely letters in the slot. I wasn't insulted, but it didn't seem right. I decided to ask the clubby. He pointed to the ceiling. Sitting on the high shelf above the mail slots, there were large mail crates. The one with the most mail flowing over the sides was marked Hamilton. There's the mail for the forgotten man.
Obviously, we're here to announce a trade. We traded two pitchers, Edison Volquez and Danny Ray Herrera, to Cincinnati for the large left-hander to my right, Josh Hamilton.
That first press conference, it was 3 of my teammates walking in the door to sit down and listen to my story. You know, and I'd never had that have before. So, you know, that let me know what kind of teammates I had.
Those guys showed up at his press conference, and immediately he knew that there was something special there and something so different that he had not experienced before with the team.
You know, I think the biggest thing that we were happy with when we saw Josh was the kind of person he was. We knew he was a talented player, but we saw the person he was, and that was what we were really excited about.
You a little lightheaded right now?
Very.
And it didn't hurt that Josh got off to a smashing start.
And there's Hamilton crushing one to center field. That ball goes to the wall. Josh Hamilton makes it 3-0 Rangers.
Right off the bat, Josh embraced Texas. And both the fans and his new teammates soon realized how gifted he was.
His talent is absolutely off the charts.
Hamilton gets a hold of that one. Bye-bye baseball.
You know, every night I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Now Hamilton picks it up. He's going to fire towards third base. Look at that throw! Got him! 3 men on base, and he slugs it to right field. There it goes! Grand slam for Hamilton!
By the end of April, Josh led the major leagues with 32 RBI. His brand new start in Texas and in life had made Josh a happy man.
You look like you're having a lot of fun.
It is fun.
And that's good. Thank you
gotta
so
keep
much.
it fun. One night, I was praying before I went to bed, and I said, Lord, you know, the more successful I am, the more people will listen to me talk about you. It was on after that.
He's going to blast away center field. There it goes. 2 more hits for Josh. Josh Hamilton destroys one.
Well up in the bleachers in left center. Another opposite field home run for Hamilton. He has homered in 4 straight games.
Josh was unbelievable. With 61 RBI at the end of May and 80 through June, he was leading the majors and mystifying his teammates.
For 6 years in the big leagues that I've played, and you know, still trying to get better. He just comes in a year and a half, and it's just the talent that he is. He's a natural.
Josh really was a natural, and his feats seemed supernatural, as Texas fans discovered when he stared down one of the best closers in baseball with the game on the line.
Some pretty serious drama. It's a guy leading all of baseball in saves against a guy leading all of baseball in runs batted in. Game on the line, 9th inning.
You know, you got K-Rod up there, man, and he's dealing all year, and here comes the hottest hitter in the game.
In the air, right field. Heading up, ball game!
Josh Hamilton with a walk-off 2-run home run. He will be mobbed at home plate.
I gotta catch my breath.
The crowd's loving it.
That's just what he's capable of every single night, it seems like. He's capable of doing something great or something to amaze someone every night.
He amazed enough fans through June to earn a starting spot on the American League All-Star team.
Obviously, it's a great honor to get awards. It lets you know that, you know, something's going right. And, you know, hopefully you can keep going in that direction.
Yeah, I learned a lot this year. I can keep learning a lot more.
Hamilton
Hamilton has 95 RBIs at the All-Star break, the 5th highest total in Major League history. And he's just got to be living a dream.
You know, when I was in my backyard, I was at Yankee Stadium. You know, with Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and Maggio and all those guys. So to be here, it's pretty cool.
The fans in Yankee Stadium were chanting my name. This didn't even happen in my dream. Rewind 2 weeks previous, we were in New York to play the Yankees, and a chant broke out in the outfield bleachers. Josh smokes crack. Josh smokes crack. In a way, their chants were a pretty good summary of how far I had traveled. From Josh smokes crack to Hamilton, Hamilton, Hamilton.
Ever since his days growing up in North Carolina, the sound that Josh made when he put bat on ball was something else. One man who became quite familiar with the sound was his former batting practice pitcher.
Clay, you got it?
71-year-old Clay Counsell.
After every practice, I'd say, Josh, man, you really hit me hard. If you ever get to the home run derby, you better let me pitch it. I hit your bat good, boy. He said, I am. When I get there, you gonna throw it. Said, Clay, I want to book you for Yankee Stadium July the 14th. I said, what?
Clay. His batting practice pitcher, 71-year-old Clay Counsell.
My guy here throwing to me, so we'll see what we can do. Clay, you good? You good?
Yankee Stadium. Fans trying to get autograph pictures taken with you. I said, Josh, I can't believe this.
What's up, Jason?
I'm in baseball heaven.
Thanks, man.
Before that first round, I said, Clay, come on. He said, where are we going? I said, we got to go in the tunnel out here. We got to pray.
We in praise, and he said a prayer, you know, not to win, but just to thank the Lord, you know, for being there, for the chance to witness and help Clay with not have a nervous breakdown.
I mean, what a great part of this story. I mean, if somebody told you this happened, you wouldn't believe it.
He said, you ain't gonna tighten up on me, are you? I said, I'll tighten up. I'll probably have a heart attack. They finally said, all right, Hamilton, you on. And I said, showtime.
Now, Josh Hamilton.
And he hit it out the ballpark.
Some kind of strength on this kid.
With every swing he took, Josh appeared to distance himself further from his past.
Did that go where we think it went? The long one was 502. Well, this one is toward the moon.
Well, he got to his 9th one, and I kind of got loose. And then he got in that home run streak, that 13 hit straight, and the crowd got into it.
14. 15 big flies.
National League All-Stars are on their feet.
That was amazing. When you get ball players on both teams jumping up when a guy's hitting home runs.
He may not have to hit his second round.
I don't know.
He's got 16. That's twice what anyone else hit.
Wow! Gone again! Wow!
That looks about where Reggie Jackson hit his 3rd home run.
I said, Bradley, how much longer can he keep this up? He said, you might be here all night.
Farthest one I hit was 518. And, you know, you just hear, it goes from Hamilton to...
Goodness gracious! 28 homers!
It was insane. I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. I was just laughing deliriously. I was so excited. I could not believe what I was seeing.
That was awesome.
Years from now, when they talk about the old Yankee Stadium, all of the memories and all of the goes, one of the memories will be this kid on this field doing what he's doing right now.
I don't don't think we'll ever experience anything quite like that again, but it was once in a lifetime.
Hey, now you guys know.
And I'm happy for him and his family that he's doing the way he's doing. And God bless him, and hopefully he'll stay like that for life.
Hamilton's 28 first-round homers was a Derby record for any round. And it was literally a dream come true. A dream he had back when he was still suspended from baseball.
You know, I never knew how many home runs I hit in the dream. I just knew I was talking to a lady reporter after I was finished.
You said in your journey back to baseball, you dreamed about this. How did it compare to the dream?
Well, obviously in the dream, I didn't know how many I hit. I was just being able to talk to you about it. You know, it's amazing over the past few years what God's done in my life and how quickly He's done it.
Before the third round, I was kind of hanging out behind the plate and talking out loud. I said, Lord, I said, if you want me to win this thing, I'll be more than happy to. But if you don't, we've accomplished exactly what we want to. Lord, it's your will. Let it be done. Help me relax.
Josh and Justin Morneau advanced to the final round, where they both started with a clean slate.
Oh, this one is hammered to right. Back.
And though Justin was the winner, there was no doubt who owned the night.
I wanted to see him win just because the show he put on, and he's shown that you can go through tough times and you can get back to living a great life every day, and he's special, you know, and that was his moment.
How do you like Texas, Josh?
I love it.
Thank you. Are you from there? Or?
No, I'm from North Carolina.
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg!
Your courtesy and caring is
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Shake your hand, though. You've done a lot for people like
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
There's so many people out there searching, so many people who struggle and want to do better. So many confused, sad, desperate people who need the right kind of guidance. People just like me.
I sell jerseys, and every time I sell one of yours, I get a feel-good story like you wouldn't believe. So you're doing a lot for people. Thank you.
Appreciate it. What's up, boss? The ultimate goal is to inspire people and, you know, let them know no matter how far they go down in life, how hopeless they feel, there's always a way out. And for me, that was through Jesus Christ. It's about how many people can I help by sharing my story and what I went through and what God did in my life.
Give a warm hope welcome to Josh and Katie Hamilton.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hamilton didn't just beat his personal demons and move on with his life. He chose to both help and inspire others with his story. Josh and Katie can often be found at church functions, reaching out to individuals who might be lost.
Something I did with him, and I don't even know if he remembers this, but every time I would try and have him committed or got the restraining order against him, or
Happened a couple times.
I always would say, Josh, I love you. You know, I'm not doing this because I don't love you. I'm doing it because I do love you.
Now I see what everybody was trying to do. I see everybody was trying to help me. When you're in the midst of that addiction or that trouble in your life, you don't see that. You see everybody kind of as the enemy.
If I wasn't totally honest, people wouldn't really think, you know, hey, this guy who's playing Major League Baseball, you know, he didn't know anything about my story because he hadn't been there.
The story of Josh Hamilton is what has captured everybody's heart.
You know, I tell people that, you know, obviously I do have an addictive personality, but I made myself addicted to the drug.
I want him to get, man, this guy really does know what I'm going through. You know, he's been there.
He's so gracious. I mean, he never gets tired of, you know, of talking about his story. And I'm so proud that he's taken the opportunity to give all the glory to God.
You know, God's not worried about the accomplishments, the accolades, the trophies, the awards, all that stuff. He's worried about how I glorify him in everything I do.
Which is why Josh and Katie started Triple Play Ministries, a program that combines his two passions, Christianity and baseball.
How's everybody today? Good. Y'all ready to have a good time? Yeah! All right, that's what I like to hear. Hope is never lost.
And Josh was like a kid again when he hosted a camp for youngsters in North Carolina.
There it is, boy, just like you're sliding into a base.
Throw me out. Throw me out. You may put a little fear in my heart, just a little.
Straight back. Ah, turn and go.
We said 100 kids could come, and 100 came. And, you know, I got to share my story, let the kids hear it, let the parents hear it.
You know, 18, 19 years old, got almost $4 million to play baseball. I started looking at some places that I shouldn't have looked in. You know, it's all determined about those people you're hanging around, about those places you're hanging out at.
And thanks to his own personal resurrection, these days Josh hangs out with people who give him plenty of support.
We love him here, and we want him in the locker room forever. You know, he's a guy that brings a lot of positive energy.
This year was fun with the Rangers.
The most fun for me isn't just necessarily the baseball part, which has been great, but, you know, seeing how happy he is and to see his life in that path has been the most rewarding part from a teammate standpoint.
Sweet spot? You don't know what a sweet spot is?
Thank you very much.
All right, so I got you, right?
Yeah.
All right, I was looking for you.
He stops and he signs every autograph. The Rangers haven't had a player like that since Nolan Ryan.
So could Josh become an equally iconic figure with the Rangers? His relationship with the fans and his performance on the field gives every indication that he could.
He hasn't even reached his peak yet, and that's scary, because when he starts figuring it out, really figuring it out, these numbers is not going to be anything close to what he's capable of doing.
But it won't be easy, and Josh knows it. For every day is another test, the fulfillment of another promise to keep his past at bay.
I chose to take that first drink. I chose to take that first drug. And it was the most miserable years of my life. And it seemed like it went on for 100 years.
To know where Josh has been and how far he's come back, it's just very heartwarming for me.
My dream was to play professional baseball. I wanted to go all the way.
As Josh reaches these milestones,
there's no reason why I shouldn't be dead, why I shouldn't be in jail, or why I shouldn't have killed somebody else. I went to the hospital 3 times for overdosing, almost died. And that was October 5th, 2005. That was the last night that I used drugs and drank alcohol. It's about waking up every morning, taking up my cross, trying to be a responsible man, responsible husband, responsible father. Is that good enough? Yeah.